progression of material? Do we need still more material and more sounds? And can we go further in a, because obviously you can always, I mean, the physical continuum is infinite, so you can have
always
like the most precise microtone and go very precisely, but I believe it might go in the not maybe yet, but in a few decades, maybe beyond the humans' ability to recognize the difference between sounds. And so I think maybe I don't know what to I don't think much about this. I mean I'm just noting it, and I don't really know what to do, because I came in new music for the new sounds. I loved it, and I discovered string quartets when I was a student in musicology, string quartets after 1950, and it was just so many techniques now that I must say I'm a bit traumatized also with the string quartet.
So many traumas.
So many. And so yes,
it's actually a very interesting question, and as you said, which doesn't necessarily need an answer. That do we really need so much extended techniques, or really think what we can actually do with them more? And this is a very interesting question, which, as you said, those questions don't necessarily need answer, but it's good to ask them. It's definitely good to ask them, and the process of thinking about them definitely helps, isn't it?
Yes, but at the same time, I'm not a huge fan of just pure critique. Yeah. So just to put it there and say, okay, now you have this many things that happened before a piece, and so that is all what is not taken, in fact, in the piece that I show now as recordings before. Yes. And I'm still interested in this question of how to include writing also, because I think it's another problematic of the piece is, what should you write more? Should I had written
you mean
something?
Notate?
Yes,
like from the notation.
Like in the sense of musical writing, where you have like the diachronic way of seeing the music, and what you have on the paper in some way looks like what's happening. Yeah. That is not the case here, because it's just words, so there's no similarity, and this is also a question. How can I now write in that sense also, and take account of the medium, for example, the recording, the fact that also this music, if I'm lucky, will be heard by people also on the internet. And what does it mean? Because in fact, this La Montillon piece is exactly about being there and being in the sound, really, and not on the computer. So I think it's an interesting departure point for me, at least, and how to say, maybe I should now try to see what writing means in that sense, like doing more music. I don't know if it's music what I just did. I think it's in the cultural side of music, but is it enough to define it? I mean,
as a musical piece, or is it performance piece, or is it,
and does it matter? I'm not sure.
To define it, yes. Is it important?
Still seems to me that it's different jobs. I don't study art. I don't study fine arts, and I don't study sculpture, and so I have also my background that makes me come from somewhere. And sometimes I've already thought about music as also purely sociological. So like you come from a conservatory, and maybe that's enough to say you do music, but maybe not. I don't know. But the thing is that I don't believe that you can suddenly change all your background and all your frame of reference also. That if you're, I've studied the classical canon of music and all, and I think it has an impact for me also aesthetically. And I think it's the basis of also how the rehearsals are structured. So it's not just like because the big difference between my piece and, for example, the Maurice artwork is that he captures what he does in a completely free way. So he has no ritual. It's not ritualized. It's just him building a box in which he will put the sound. And in that case, maybe this is one of the links, let's say, to musical tradition also, to write it down, to have still a form of some kind. And that it's still present, and not just we meet for 25 minutes and see what happens, and maybe everyone plays at the same time and we don't get it. I mean,
on the other hand, we today watched together with Ensemble the TED Talk of Marina Abramovic, about performance, because so many things connected also to performance world. And she says very funny sentence that she thinks that most immaterial art is music.
Could be.
And how is it then connected to what you just said with the notation, which makes it a little bit more material, or does not? So.
Yeah, it's a it's a hard question to answer. I believe that it's taking maybe music in another way, more about the qualities than the process it leads. For example, of course, we could say that the Fluxus piece, even the I don't know, like the other young pieces, that is an interesting example, in fact, because the other pieces of the series of pieces that I've extracted the material from for this piece, for my piece, let's say, to be clear, because it's going to be a bit. And in fact, there's another piece is build a fire in front of the concert hall or release butterflies. And so, of course, if the criteria to say that music, what music is the immateriality or the temporality.
Yeah.
This is another...
What does it mean, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Of course, and we could say that also. And
I don't think she means it also with the criteria, but as an interesting way of thinking about it. But it's.
But maybe it's also about reception.
Yeah.
If you have like a temporal experience and you see it in a abstract way, maybe this is. I don't really know where.
What is hearing and listening and so on, isn't it?
No, but in the sense.
Much,
yes, but in the sense that Abramovic says something, and I don't really know where it comes from. So
exactly.
it's a bit weird to answer precisely about this. But I mean, music, and I think it's one of my interests now is to just play with these different understandings of music. For example, Kreidler has a text that is called "Music with Music." But it's not said what music is on one of the sides of the particle and what it is on the other side. Yeah. And so, for example, different understandings like music as a social situation, or music as a way of receiving or a way of producing, or some kind of artifact with qualities like temporal extension. But
exactly. That's what I meant actually with asking the question, what does it mean actually to hear or listen?
Yes, but but in that sense, I don't know. I think a lot of conceptual music works, you don't have to listen.
Yeah,
you have to hear them. But but it's also a question. For example, YouTube memes, like it's not really a meme. It's an artwork. But the Cory, do you know this piece? The Cory Archangel, Kitten Schoenberg piece.
Not sure.
In fact, he rebuilt with the Glenn Gould recording. He rebuilt the Glenn Gould recording with videos of cats playing the piano, and so it's Opus 28 of Schoenberg, piano piece, and so and this it's written, I think, in the same text of Kreidler that I just mentioned, that in fact he never heard it completely, because maybe we don't have to listen to it. We don't have to get into the materiality of sound. Maybe sound is just a sign, and I think it's a lot of time that even if it's intended, even if it's not intended, I think sound is a lot of time a symbol, something that you don't really have to get into to get the point. And I think in this piece, I mean, to get the point, we should look also more at what he does as a whole, because it's not an isolated piece in what he does, this Archangel. Yeah. Maybe just a parenthesis, it's a bit of a digression now, but we talked about the sociologic background of people, and this guy is in fact a guitar player in a conservatory. And when he went in New York, he was in Zetatica, in fact, last October, and he made a talk, and he said, I just went and I was a guitar player, and I just visited some galleries and began to get it. and then I made art, and so there is also this counter argument that we couldn't say that everything he does is music, but
of course,
but maybe particularly this piece that is way linked to musical tradition, maybe it's music or music art.
We don't know. Great. Raphaël, thank you so much for the talk. Thank you for
no problem
asking those questions, and thank you for working with us.
No problem.